The Great Unraveling, the American Dream in 2025. The American dream, a promise of opportunity and prosperity, is unraveling. The nation once seen as the land of milk and honey is now a place of risk and uncertainty. Why have so many countries issued travel warnings for their citizens visiting the U.S.? It's because the very foundation of the American economy is shifting, leaving behind a trail of layoffs and broken promises. The illusion of billion-dollar profits hides a darker truth, a nation struggling with unprecedented job cuts, debt, and fear. This video will expose the stark reality behind the headlines, revealing how corporate America's pursuit of profit is eroding the lives of its most loyal employees. Amazon, the digital dream turned nightmare. Amazon was once the ultimate symbol of innovation. Starting as a humble online bookstore, it grew into a global e-commerce giant that reshaped how we shop, ship, and connect. A job at Amazon was a badge of pride, a position at a company at the forefront of the digital age. But by 2025, that dream had become a nightmare. The news of Amazon cutting over 14,000 managers sent shockwaves across the country. It wasn't just a number, it was the entire population of a small town wiped off the job map with a single click. The bitter irony is that Amazon's revenue and profits continued to climb, and its stock even rose after the layoffs. For investors, trimming the workforce was a sign of financial health. For thousands of longtime employees, however, all their loyalty was reduced to a cold email, "We regret informing you." A 45-year-old man in Pennsylvania who had worked at Amazon for over a decade used to proudly tell his neighbors that his team was responsible for on-time Prime deliveries. In a 15-minute online meeting, that pride was erased. Now, he and his family are faced with a terrible choice: pay the mortgage or keep their health insurance. What's worse is that Wall Street has created a twisted logic: the more people you fire, the higher your stock goes. This turns thousands of workers into nothing more than cells on an Excel spreadsheet, expenses to be deleted. And while Amazon promises millions of jobs through automation and AI, we forget a crucial fact: robots don't shop, they don't pay taxes, and they don't keep local communities alive. The ecosystem that once thrived around Amazon is slowly being drained, and the company that once gave people hope is now a symbol of cold. Ford and GM, the end of the Motor City dream. Ford and General Motors were once the heartbeats of the American Industrial Revolution. Henry Ford's assembly line made cars accessible to the middle class, and Detroit boomed. Every factory whistle signaled steady paychecks for thousands of families. But by 2025, that picture has vanished. Ford announced thousands of job cuts in Michigan and Kentucky, leaving a gaping hole in communities that depended on auto work. The official reason sounds modern and clean: a restructuring to focus on electric vehicles, EVs. But for many workers in their 50s, it's a neat way to make their jobs disappear. A man in Dearborn who spent his life at Ford now sits at his kitchen table, staring at unpaid bills. He built cars for a nation, and now he struggles to keep the lights on in his own home. General Motors, once the world's largest automaker, is at the center of a brutal layoff wave, eliminating thousands of factory and administrative staff. The explanation is the same: a shift to EVs. The harsh reality is that electric vehicles simply don't need as many people. Robots now weld, assemble, and paint at a pace no human can match. In the cold math of profit and loss, machines always beat people. A father in Flint, who spent 20 years on the GM line, now has his youngest child asking a painful question: "Dad, can robots take me to school, too?" This isn't just a personal tragedy, it's a systemic one. When a plant closes, the entire town takes a hit. Cafes, schools, and local businesses suffer. What once powered Detroit's prosperity has turned into a nightmare that drags down the whole local ecosystem. The so-called green shift ends up greening layoff letters, while the promise of new tech offers no real hope. Tech giants and the Silicon Valley betrayal. Silicon Valley was once the birthplace of tech dreams, where companies like Meta, Intel, and Salesforce promised a better future. Campuses filled with free food and beanbag chairs symbolized a new kind of creative freedom. But by 2025, that dream has been shattered. Meta, once a symbol of connectivity, carried out its largest round of layoffs in history, cutting over 3,600 employees labeled as low performers. The term sounds clinical, but it was a red stamp that erased years of effort. While Meta pours resources into a virtual world of the metaverse, thousands of real families are struggling to pay rent and buy groceries. An engineer who spent a decade at Meta saw his career end in less than 15 minutes with a short email and a locked account. The company promised to connect the world, but for these employees, the only connection left is the long line at the unemployment office. For decades, Intel's chips powered the digital economy. The phrase, "Intel Inside," was a mark of American innovation and dominance. But in 2025, Intel announced it would cut 25% of its global workforce, nearly 30,000 employees. The official reason was to remain competitive, but the harsher truth is that Intel has fallen behind its rivals. For a 48-year-old engineer in Oregon, his 12-year career ended abruptly like a CPU whose power cord had been yanked out. Now, communities built around Intel's factories are left hollow, like circuit boards stripped of their vital components. Salesforce was once the crown jewel of software as a service, a platform that helped businesses grow. But in 2025, it slashed over 4,000 jobs, replacing human customer support with AI chatbots. A chatbot may be faster, but it can't hear the frustration in a customer's voice or calm a user panicking about lost data. Salesforce once marketed AI as a tool to free people from repetitive work. Now it's using AI to free the payroll from people. This sets a dangerous precedent, the automation domino effect. The issue isn't limited to a few companies, it's a systemic shift rippling across every industry. Walmart, for decades a community hub, is accelerating automation by rolling out self-checkout kiosks that quietly replace human cashiers. One woman in Arkansas who worked as a cashier for 15 years lost her job overnight. Now she's just another customer, scanning groceries at the very machine that replaced her. Even icons of American agriculture, like John Deere, are not immune. In 2025, the company announced its biggest cuts in decades, pushing out thousands of engineers and machinists. The official reason was to adapt to the changing global market, but the reality is that automation and robotics on the assembly line are making human workers obsolete. The same story plays out at Tesla, once the symbol of a green, innovative future.